Hey gang, Ronan here. Uh, this is the second of two videos on the European Tier 6 Special Cruiser Elli. I already highlighted this ship in one video, and I was tempted to only do the one because I was so unimpressed with this ship, and I thought, that's really not fair. I should give it another go, play it a little bit more, and see if maybe there's something I missed. So I did, and I did give it another go. I don't think I missed anything. This ship is thoroughly underwhelming. As I mentioned in the other video, and I won't reiterate in detail, I don't know that there's another T6 cruiser that I wouldn't prefer over this one. In fact, there are a lot of Tier 5 cruisers that I think I'd rather play than this ship. In this game, I land a fair number of shells, which, we'll detail here in a little while, you'll see it, but it just doesn't do much. Now you can see, of course, in this game, I am up tiered, but this is going to happen a lot, right? I mean, you're going to be in a lot of Tier 8 matches. It's not going to happen all the time that you are top tier. Because, of course, if you're playing at Tier 6 anything, top tier means it's going to be a Tier 6 and Tier 5 game only, right? Occasionally, I guess you might end up with a Tier 4 if there was a failed division or something like that. And if you're unfamiliar with what that means, generally speaking, the matchmaking system for wargaming takes whatever tier ships are in a division and puts it in matchmaking that is equal to the highest tier ship in the division. So if you have two Tier 6 ships divisioned with a Tier 4 ship, well, the Tier 4 ship can actually get pulled up into a Tier 8 match because of the way the matchmaking works. Now, in this case, that didn't happen, obviously, and I'm squaring off with a lot of Tier 8 ships. And really I couldn't have asked for a better example. I've got a broadside Veneto that I'm just pouring shells into, and you can see that it just doesn't do anything. I mean, I put 53 shells on target, 9,215 damage, and that's with a fire. Now, by the end of this game, I think I'm going to have 8 fires and over 28,000 fire damage, and still have a relatively low damage total, despite having a fair number of shots on target. So there's fire number 2. I also abbreviated this game, so if you if you don't have a lot of time, or you just have already decided based on the other video, there's really no point in even watching this, I understand, but I did cut the length of this video down quite a bit. Essentially, all we're going to see are the times when I was either firing or repositioning to fire. And I think there's really only one good example of that, maybe two, I guess. I've got a nice location here, but I'm just not able to put a hurt on anything, really. Now you can see that Synop, played by Chad Monkey. He's pushing up behind me, so I know I've got limited time. That's why I looked back that way. I was really hoping to see our Synop, who's just off my starboard side, begin to reverse around the island, but he waited too long. You can see he's starting to reverse now, but I think it's too late. He's got 2 Synops in the Bravo cap that are going to be targeting him. Eugen takes out our Akazuki, and at this point I just need to beat feet and get out of here. Now, I don't want to get close to the Synop, so I have to really watch my maneuvering here. You may have run into it yourself. If you get too close to a ship that is currently being targeted, you can eat shells that are meant for the other ship. So I'm going to turn as close to this island as I can, and I'm going to try and get away from the Synop that's pushing up behind me. Use the island to break line of sight for anything that might be pushing south out of the Charlie cap, and I'm just going to run. I'm noticing that the Renown there, sitting basically licking the window on the 10 line, he's almost certainly dead unless he tries to make a run for it, and our Synop does actually get shoot to pieces. Now, I thought for a second about opening fire. Now, if I open fire here, there's no way I survive this engagement. So I essentially just turn and run. And I'm looking at where our Colorado's at. He's sitting at Golf 7. We've got a Umahari he's in a good position to put shells on the setup, although I can't help thinking he's got to be getting pummeled. You can see my comment there to our Renown, just, hey man, get out of there if you can. Our Umahari, he's in a position where he's opened a torpedo strike. In that position, he doesn't really have any cover. Anyhow, at this point, I'm thinking this game's a loss, but I still repositioned here to be able to get shots on this Synop, played by Chad Monkey, and my hope was that our Renown, who looks like he's getting ready to go nose into an island, believe me, I know. Maybe I get another fire or two on this Synop, who I was pretty sure was probably looking for a good shot on the Umahari that was sitting broadside, and there was a gap between the islands there, and he did get a shot off. I'm able to start a fourth fire, and Synop is turning my way. You can see he's bringing the guns around, and I'm not sure if he's bringing them toward me or if he's going to try and get a shot off on. Looks like he's going to try and get a shot off on the Colorado, maybe even our CV, before he brings the guns to bear on me. So I'm going to continue to fire.
The enemy team has taken the lead.
Our Umahari does manage to finish off the Synop, but their Fuso takes out one of our Colorados. I'm just going to try and maneuver here a little bit, and I do manage to avoid the shells. In terms of play style, you really don't have much choice if you want to be into this game, any game you're in, more than about 5 minutes. But to try and maintain some range, you've got to try and stay far enough away so that if you quit firing, you can go dark. You can see I'm starting to take shells from the Charlie Cap as well. And at this point, I'm really just thinking I need to cross. I need to get more toward the middle of the map, which I do. You can see I'm down here by the Colorado now. This game is over. We're down to 5 ships. The red team has only lost 4. They've still got 8 of their ships. I put 111 shells and counting on target, started 5 fires, and I'm sitting under 36,000 damage. And each of the games that I played were unfortunately equally painful in terms of ineffectiveness. This ship is a study in frustration. Now, I realize that if you pick this up as a part of the recent salvage event, it was just kind of a freebie that you picked up while trying to get either the Francesco Ferruccio or the British cruiser Defense, or if you're really a glutton for punishment, even the Kitakami. But if you are at some future date looking for a Tier 6 premium and thinking, wow, it'd be nice to have a European captain trainer, please believe me when I tell you this is not it. Unless they significantly buff us and make these guns a little bit more effective, it's just a horrible experience, especially when you're up tiered. But even if you're not, these guns just don't do any damage. So I'm going to sit out here for a little bit, try and start some more fires, do a little bit more damage.
Is about to win.
There is fire number 6. I think I ended up the game. I think it was a total of 8 fires. And you know, we're all kind of grouped up here. I moved this way essentially to try and take advantage of the RCV's anti-aircraft. But you know, it's all for naught. The game's over. Now, I guess if we're looking for any kind of positive statement to make about this ship, it's that it is so squishy that you can get overpins in a lot of cases where you might take full damage in a heavy cruiser. And, you know, you can see that that's what's happening now. But especially anything that's using HE, this thing just eats damage like as candy.
Enemy submarine.
Now, there's a sub directly ahead of me. He's got 8,648
gun
damage.
crews are on normal alert.
And I have 8 barrels. Let's see how many shells I get on him. Only 2. And he's still at 79.55. There's another volley. 1,824
direct front.
with 5 pens. Now this is what I'm talking about as far as these guns. Now I'm going to do what I can here, and I think I'm going to be able to finish off this salmon. But I know that I mean, the game's over.
Torpedoes, direct
I
front.
really, in part, stayed only on the salmon rather than doing anything else, because I wanted to have a great example of how ineffective these guns are, even against a sub that is in the open and easy to hit. Now you can see the little oil slick there, and I'm just following that, so I know more or less where he's going to appear, and more or less where torpedoes might be arriving from. I know I'm going to eat a face full of torpedoes here. At this point, I really don't care. The game's already over.
Torpedoes, dead ahead.
Here they come. Yeah, subs and balance of subs. Yeah, that's a whole other discussion, right? Okay, so I had to put a ton of shells
Enemy submarine destroyed.
on a salmon in order to sink it, and I was, what, 3 or 4 clicks away. Now, the game's almost over. You know, I decided I'm just going to see if I can survive the game. I mean, they got 920 points. Can I live long enough to see the end of the game without getting sunk? Got 10,950 HP, and I'm just going to start weaving in and out, try and get behind this island. I know the CB's bringing aircraft, so I'm going to go ahead and get some shots out here on Eugen. Maybe I land 1 or 2. Here come the aircraft that are going to spot me, and really my only option here is just keep wiggling the ship. ICOP is out there finishing off our CV, and as soon as that happens, this game's over.
Anti-aircraft gun crews are on full alert.
Just wiggle the back of the ship here. CV's gone. That's the end of the game. All right, so now we're taking a look at, you know, total damage numbers, and this is just painful. All right, so you can see 64,729 total damage on 189 target hits. Now that's including the fire damage, right? So right there, all right, 189 shell hits for 64,729 damage. That's only 342.48 damage per shell. And now, in a second, we're going to subtract out the fire damage, and you can see what these things actually did. Yumahari, Akazuki, you did the best you could. I mean, you got over 1,000 in a loss. I count that as a pretty good game. Now take out this 28,391 fire damage, and these guns did 192.26 damage per shell hit. That is pathetic. That is tier 4 level damage. It's really, really bad. Good job, Chad. You played a strong game there. You know, this just kind of reiterates what I was talking about. Now you can see 74 shells, 10,442 damage, you know, and some fire damage. And it's kind of like that all the way across. 23 shells, HE shells, from a light cruiser in order to do 7,866 damage. And part of it was fire. Absolutely pathetic. I mean, I understand about throwaway ships in an event like this, but this thing is, usually I'm talking about ships that are overpowered or impossible to counter, but this thing is just horrible. Sharni, same thing, 47 shells, 10,000 damage, a couple of fires. ICOP, hardly any damage, just a couple fires. To be expected, ICOP is very, very tanky and shot down a couple aircraft. It's really just awful. I gave this thing, I think, a pretty fair shake. I did play some games in it. This is all I'm going to do on this thing. I may never play it again unless on a dare. It's just not fun to play at all. Thank you very much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed this at all or got anything out of it, I'd really appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.